Welcome to this very special edition of Mistress of Change, brought to you by House of Preeminence, Preeminence Rising, and yours truly, your host, Jenny P., the founder of all of that. This is a special edition because we are at the 2-year anniversary of this incredible platform. 2 years we have been building this amazing platform for feminine change makers over and despite all the craziness in the world. So it is my enormous delight to bring back today one of my favorite people in the whole world, one of my core founding members. She has so many accolades, but she's still very much behind the scenes. So I am going to put the spotlight on her lots today. So first of all, welcome to my beautiful Marcia Martin.
Jenny, thank you so much. You know, it's always my joy to be with you anywhere, anytime, for anything. So thank you so much.
Okay, that's noted. And now we can fly again. We can actually make that happen.
Yes.
Okay, so when I met you in 2019, Marcia, at a speakers conference in London, and I'd never heard of you, and I was introduced to you, or you spoke, you were the best speaker on the day, and you talked about your work, all the work that you've done for the last 40 years plus in being one of the pioneers of the human potential movement and all of the evolution of that, which had my jaw dropping open. I didn't even know there was a beginning. So it was with absolute awe that I came and introduced myself to you and just to rejoice and celebrate you and to give you such kudos for your incredible career, training, transforming the lives of, yes, let's just say it as it is, hundreds of thousands of people all over the world, and been in all sorts of industries and really made a difference to the subsequent generations of transformational leaders. So first of all, really big round of applause for that. Anybody?
God bless you. Thank you so much.
And then when we connected, I said, Marcia, I am beginning a magazine, and I know that it's going to resonate with you because it is about the fundamentals of transformation and change. I would love to do a feature with you. And you said to me,
yes, I would love that. Of course I will be a part of it. I love you already. I want to attach you to my hip and take you everywhere I go.
You also said, I don't just want to be a feature, I want to do this with you. So that was very, very key in you know, the founding and the foundations of the House of Preeminence, because we are both so in love with transformation and transforming people's lives. And over these last 2 years, I have got to know the richness of the wisdom that you have, and your sense of humor, and the and how you have the power to touch so many people's lives. So what was it that made you, first of all, want to come on board this project?
Well, first of all, I think from the very beginning of when I can remember anything, I've had a gift and a passion to make a difference. And I could see that you would make a difference. And I could see that you would help to empower, especially women, and see their inner power and allow them to contribute more than they'd been able to do before they were touched by you and before you presented House of Preeminence magazine to them and brought all sorts of resources to the table that they could use. So it's always been that path for me, and I could see you were the next step. So it was just a common denominator of, I saw your light, I knew that you could see mine, and we were on the same journey to have this be a better world.
Beautiful. So what is it about this work of transformation that keeps you doing it, that keeps you, getting on a plane and traveling and transforming people and bringing your incredible talents into different industries in the hospitality industry? You could have retired, you could have put your feet up and taken it easy. What is it about this whole beautiful paradigm that keeps you not just doing that, but looking as fresh as a daisy all the time?
Now I probably use my sense of humor and say, really? No, thank you so much. Well, first of all, it's not something I do. It's something that I be. It's who I am. It's who I've always been. And I think the universe sees that and uses it and allows me to be an instrument of light to awaken people in such a way that they can also make a difference in the world and make this a better place. And I think the story of my life, which is very unique, kind of tells why I do what I do, or why I keep doing what I'm doing, because it's just the thing that was meant to be. It is my dharma. It has been my destiny. It started with dreams I had when I was young. So it's a culmination of my work. It's not a job. It's the work that I do in the world. So with that, I think it's kind of like, of course I keep going. When you love something and it makes a difference and you should feel fulfilled by it, why would you say, I want to quit and go on a vacation? That is a vacation in itself. It's pure joy.
I really want to underline that. It's not what I do, it's what I be. And why that is so key for anybody listening. It isn't an activity. It's a philosophy. It really is a way of life, isn't it?
Yes, it is, for sure.
So let's just turn this to women, especially as the magazine is focused so much on women. What have women from your experience, what are the different ways that women can really, I'm weighing my words here, use the fundamentals of transformation as you know them to address the problems in the world as they are? Because our audience are change makers, they are heart-led, soul-led, mission-led entrepreneurs. They yearn to make a difference. What is it about what you've learned that you can share with us? Share some of your incredible plethora of wisdom with us today.
Well, I think, first of all, if women could understand their nature, they would know that they don't have to yearn to make a difference. They are a difference. And they're expressing that into the world. They're not trying to do something and getting towards that. They're coming from it and expressing it into the world. So the nature of woman is to be a source and to attract and to cause and create. I love it because we work in partnership with men, and of course it's a dance, and it's the yin yang, and it's the dark light, it's the all of those kinds of things rolled into one that makes a perfect circle or makes a perfect whole. You have to have all of the parts. And I think women, if they could take responsibility for the fact that they call, in other words, they put out an essence, they put out a scent, they put out a dream, and then the world goes into activity, and men on the other side are the perfect partner to be able to produce that and bring it into existence. Women call, men respond. So I love that old adage that the power behind the throne, and most remarkable men have a woman somewhere behind the throne guiding and collaborating and communicating. So I think the first thing that women should know is to be in their power and not to think that they're not enough, and to really know that they bring something very special to the table that is the first step. And then from there, things respond to it and are catalysts for it, and magic can happen. So that's one of the first things, is for women to know who you are, to not be lost in the fear. I think a lot of us have been brought up to consider ourselves second place or not enough, or we shouldn't be at the head of the class. We shouldn't race the fastest, that we should do something to support. So it's good that we have that mechanism inside of us that supports and nurtures. For sure, that's part of who we are. But we really create the dream, in my opinion, in terms of the first step. So I think that that's the first step for women, to know who you are.
I've heard you say that before. Women call and men respond, and it's so beautiful. And there's obviously a relationship aspect to that, but I'm feeling this on a bigger scale. The idea of women standing in their power, calling just by being in their power. Is that what you mean on a bigger scale, Marcia?
Yes, absolutely. And it's not just that women are the only callers, men call too, and not that men are the only responders or producers. Women produce too, but in an essence, it kind of magnifies the process itself, that there's something that's put there, the space of it, and then you fill the container. There's a dream first, there's an intention first, and then there is the realization of that dream or that intention. And I think that women particularly have that nature within ourselves, that if we could just realize we're enough, we're whole, we're incredibly powerful, we're incredibly connected. That's one of our greatest attributes, is that we connect. We don't operate in silos, we operate as a community. So from that connection, that bigger connection, we can put forth that calling that starts a process and is a catalyst for a particular creating of a condition. And I think that if women step up to that and take responsibility, we're always kind of looking to see, well, who should be the leader here? I want to support them, rather than just saying, well, I'm going to lead, whether anybody knows it or not, whether anybody sees it or not. There is a power behind the throne. There's always something underneath the thing that you see. So in that space of not knowing, not seeing, for me, I am woman. I love that song, by the way. So
so no striving, no yearning.
Yeah, a real willingness to be at peace with one's own power, and then to contribute and express it in a way that's appropriate and that can showcase and empower others. And, that's the basis of community empowerment and love and wholeness and completion. So if we bring all of those to the table, and those are most important to us, taking care of the children. All of us were a child at one point and needed a mother. So that piece of who woman is as the mother is the piece that I think that we bring forth and make a difference in the world when we come from that place.
And we are definitely being called more into that at the moment, as we are homemakers and community makers, and bring us together.
Naturally.
Absolutely. Bringing together. This is definitely something that I've noticed, Marcia, in our community, within the platform, is how women are just magnetized now to something that's growing, and that there's no hierarchy, as you just said. Nobody's necessarily in charge, but they're just looking to work together. And I think that's something really important to express to women entrepreneurs who can fall back into the old paradigm way of hustle and grind and everything, and why your career and trajectory has been such a beautiful example, because you've just been like a flower unfolding into this glorious, powerful leader that you are. So let's just talk about that process that you've touched on many times of Be Do Have, because it is fundamental to this process of becoming, becoming a leader, becoming effective in women's missions and their visions.
So before we even start that, I want to just respond to something you said, because I think it's really valuable for anyone who's listening to this to hear, in terms of my journey unfolding as a flower. It sounds like it's this very wonderful experience, and it's full of flowers and light and fun. I want to make sure everybody knows that my life has just as many pitfalls and fearsome adventures and scary moments and tearful times and pain and depression as anybody else's life. I think that there is one thing that may be different from me than most people, because I was mentored when I was so young by such great thinkers, such as Buckminster Fuller, Werner Erhard, Warren Bennis, Peter Drucker, Jerry Weintraub. These were people that gave me an understanding of who I was at the very essence of my personhood, and that who I could be and what I could do. And one of the things that I was taught was that there is something bigger than the activity of what's happening in my life at the moment, that I could observe whatever the journey presents to me. I've had a child that committed suicide. I've had a divorce. I've lost, $10 million. I've, been separated from my friends and my family. I've had somebody betray me in business. All of those things hurt and took me down. And I had to really look to see how to get back up, how to rise from the ashes again. And I think the thing that allowed me to do that was to know who I was. And who I was wasn't the thing happening to me. I was the observer of the thing happening to me. And the thing happening to me was happening for a purpose. And the greater purpose was that I had to learn something, experience something, so I could be bigger on the other side of that experience. And so even though it hurt during the time that it hurt, or I was depressed, or I was alone, or I was not sure what to do, all of that was going on. There was a part of me that knew it was all okay, that knew it was a gift, that knew it should happen, that knew I shouldn't resist, that knew I could make it through. And it's that understanding that I think is at the core of the whole Be, Do, Have process. Because most people look at life as if they want to become something, they first have to have something. So if I want to become a dancer, first I have to have a dance teacher. And then I have to do something. I have to practice every day. And if I have the right dance teacher, and if I have enough money, and if I have the right outfit, and if I do enough practice, and if I play the music the right way, and if I do all of those things, and someday I will be a dancer. And the truth of how it actually works is that you have to be whatever it is you're creating in the real world. You have to be at first in the invisible world. And the invisible world is the land of your dreams. It's the land of your intentions. It's the land where commitment lives. It's the land where possibility is. And in that invisible world where we're dreaming and creating, there's no time and there's all possibility. And so in that world, if we intentionally create what we want to manifest in the real world, where, things like pens live, and there are glasses, and there is a house, those are real things in the real world. But I can imagine a house, and I can imagine who I want to be in the future. And that has to live first in the world that we call the world of possibility, or where I'm being. And it has to happen first before anything else can be created. And when people understand that it's a process of be it first in the invisible world, the way that you want it to see it in the real world, be it now that way, be it as if it's already happened, see the dream as if it already is you and it already exists, come from that place, then what happens is this remarkable thing called alignment or integrity or congruence. It's where things line up. So whoever and whatever you're being, lining up to that, you won't be incongruent with that. You will have to be congruent. The way that you speak and the actions that you take will line up with whatever and whoever you're being. And when things line up that way, the result is exactly the same as the dream, only it's in the real world, and the only variable is time. So that's the secret that people don't realize. And then the other part of it is we attract to us the same vibration that we operate from. So what we're being also is a vibration. If we're being joyful, that's a different vibration than if we're being angry. And whatever the vibration is attracts to us the same events, relationships, content, resources that are at the same vibration. It's not like if I'm thinking about a house will be attracted. If I'm being joyful, things at the same vibration of joy will come into my universe for me to collaborate with, to cooperate with, to relate to interact with, so that I can be in action and language and speak it and act it into existence. So it's a very profound and very important thing for people to understand about how creation happens and how results are manifested.
Thank you for clarifying that, as it's such a fundamental principle of preeminence and what we're doing, and you explained it so beautifully simply. So I'd love to invite you, if you will play with me, to explore the 9 graces, because Marcia, truly you are a shining out example of preeminence. And I'd love to just go through the 9 graces that are in every magazine, and just to ask you what that particular grace has meant to you, or how you've collaborated with it or played with it, or it might be one that you weren't even aware of, but I'm pretty sure it is because I was just thinking about it. So let's just start with the grace of excellence. Was it natural for you in the beginning, at the beginning of your career? Were you ambitious? Did you say, okay, right, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm throwing my heart over that high bar? Was it natural for you to aspire to greatness?
It always has been. I've always, and I think part of that is due to my childhood. I grew up very in a world of fear. My father was an alcoholic. My parents were divorced. We moved all the time. There wasn't really a lot of stability at home. And where I kind of bloomed was at school. So I always wanted to be the best. I ran the fastest and got all of the races. I jumped the highest. I got the highest grades. I was voted for the most whatever. So excellence has been for me just play all out. And that's come naturally to me because it seemed like I needed to do that in order to survive based on where I came from. So that's always been there for me.
Okay, so we're going to check.
Check.
So that flows into distinction, which has 2 facets to it. One is to become, to take whatever you're focusing with excellence, and for it to become mastery. Is what does it take to master your craft?
I love the word distinction because it has so much profundity in language. A language is distinction. In other words, you can't see anything that you don't have a word for. So it becomes distinct to you based on the language. The more articulate you are, the more you understand of language, the more things show up for you in the universe. And everything has to have its own way. So, when you start off as a baby, you're one cell, and then that divides, and then that divides, and then that divides. And so everything is in the first cell all at once, no distinctions, just like you can look up on the mountain and see snow. And you say, oh, there's snow up there, all that white stuff, no distinctions. But to be really powerful and excellent at anything, you must know the distinctions. You're not going to be a great skier if you don't know the distinction between ice and powder. You're not going to be a great legislator if you don't know the difference between, what is just or unjust. There has to be distinctions. Distinctions give us power.
That's a beautiful interpretation, one that hasn't occurred to me. So we're checking that one.
Okay, great. It's like a test. I think, okay, you got that one, I got that one.
No, we're playing with this. So after grace, after excellence rather, and from your aspiration that takes you into distinguishing, this beautiful way of communicating, of discerning through distinction, then we go into renown, which is not necessarily being famous, but it's what you've done so elegantly. I didn't know who you were, but nevertheless, you are renowned. You are known for who you are and what you've done and who you achieved. So, what would you say about renown?
I would say renown is the way that it is. And for me, it's kind of like what legacy is. So a lot of people think that now that they're older, and I'm older now, a lot of my friends are talking about how they're going to create their legacy. And I always say to them, well, your legacy is your life. And you've lived your life. So you have whatever legacy you have. It's not like you can take a detour now and decide to create a different legacy. And that's the same as renown. You are renowned for it because it is it. It's not like I can say, okay, here's what I want to be renowned for. No, I am the thing that is renowned. I've lived the life. I've done the action. I've delivered whatever I've delivered. I've fallen wherever I've fallen. And that's what I'm renowned for. That's what it means to me.
That is so cool. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So we'll check that one off. Okay. So that leads into peerlessness and the way that we show up as uniquely us, not any other cookie cutter model. How has that played? What makes you Marcia?
Peerlessness. Learning anything, to be an expert at anything, you have to start as a beginner. And many people are unwilling to be beginners because beginners make mistakes, look stupid, are clumsy, don't know how to do it, have the wrong answer. And human beings are thrown to being right, looking good, and having the answer. So it just doesn't fit our automatic behavior to have to be good at being a beginner. But if you're a beginner and you're willing to be a beginner, you learn in two ways. One is through understanding, which is your mind, and the other is through practice, which happens in your body. Everything that you do that you can be peerlessness about has to also be embodied. In other words, you have to be able to do it. And to do it, you have to practice doing it. So for me, peerlessness is the ability to not just be the best. It's willing to be the worst in the beginning, if that's what I am, because I'm a beginner, so that I can practice, and my willingness to keep going, getting back up on the horse after I fall down, or back up on the bicycle after I crash, to be able to do it better the next time. Until I reach a point where people do reach points at different domains in their life of mastery. So, and that is where one would say that you are peerless.
Gosh, this is embracing the whole of the Martin wisdom. It's just, this is really fun. So you throw your heart over a bar. You become distinct by your own living your own legacy and building that, and gaining the renown, and being peerless by being humble enough to keep learning. Along the way comes prestige. From being dedicated to that path is where prestige comes in, is a nice life, you know, abundance, travel, beautiful things. And that doesn't take hard work. It takes all those other stages beforehand, doesn't it?
Well, I think it takes all those other stages, but I think it takes something in terms of prestige itself, which is when you reach the level of prestige, there's a danger, because we could become arrogant, or we could look as if we are the ones that know and nobody else does, and we've had it all happen and now we've arrived. And remember, in this lifetime, you never arrive, because it's a journey. Everything is always in motion, and all there is change. So there's no fantasy land of success where I got there. It's just the next moment of now. So for me, the gift of prestige is to be able to be humble when you have achieved that level of mastery, that you would be looked at by others to have prestige. And that you would really know that this is a level that is the next mountain. It's not the last mountain. There's another mountain to come. And if you get too caught up or too cocky in the fact that you've arrived, the universe is going to take you down. And also, I think that it's remembering where you come from, and remembering that it takes a village. You didn't do it on your own. You know, you're connected, all is one. And so I think prestige is not something that we have, but it's something that we're given as a way of knowing what humility is all about. And it's a test for us to perhaps pass or not into the next stage.
And that takes us on beautifully into the next stage, which you touched on earlier on, which is transcendence, which is that ability to get over all our own BS, and to get over the rough side of life. You described it beautifully earlier on.
Yeah, and I think transcendence has to do with surrender, and it has to do with not getting attached to the point that you're holding on to something, because the universe knows how to use you. Your higher power, the part of all of us that connects us, has its own innate wisdom. And when you are experiencing transcendence, to me, it's that you've committed your life to the path of righteousness or justice, or making a difference, or being the best that you can, and doing the most for the community. That when you reach that point, the universe notices and starts using you. It's not you anymore. It's you being used by some beautiful force. And when that happens, what I've noticed in my own life, if I don't stay on that path, the universe will tell me I'm on the wrong path and shoot me down and bring me back over to what I should be doing. And that's the path that I call the path of destiny, or dharma, that started with dreams.
How exquisite. And that naturally leads then into leadership, because when you get to this stage, you are leading naturally by example, but also with wisdom and skills and everything. Did you ever think that you were going to be a leader when you were small?
I always was a leader. And I never got to a place where I was going to be a leader. I always came from that place. And that's one of the gifts I think that was given to me to put me on the path I've been on. And I think leadership, a lot of people think it's as if you're out in front leading, but leadership to me is not being in front or being in the back. It's making impact. It's causing something to happen. It's bringing something into existence. And that means that you can do that whether you have the title that you're the head of the company, or you're the plumber, or you're, sweeping the floors, or you're taking care of a baby, or you're painting a picture, or you're celebrating whatever. That leadership isn't the title. It's not the place out in front. It's an action of causing impact. And so you're being a leader or you're not. You're creating impact or you're not. And so I think that is a different focus perhaps than some other people have about leadership. But that becomes very natural when you've got to that point of transcendence, because when the universe starts using you, it doesn't matter what position you're in, or if you've got the right hat on or have the right title. If there's impact to be made, the universe will show you the way that you can cause some of that impact to be produced in the universe.
Definitely. Check. So then we're almost at the end of, there's only 2 graces left in the circle. We come to something we touched on earlier on, which is endurance, which isn't suffering. It's not bearing something. It's just the persistence to keep going, to see our dreams to realization, because it is so tempting to give up, to get in our own way, to be dissuaded by people, to be disrupted by people, to be disrupted by global events, and so what is this thread of this strength of spirit that keeps, and soul that keeps us, really seeing something through? What is that for you?
Well, first of all, I think that it's good to share how things are experienced. First of all, most people think something happens in their life and it makes them feel a particular way or do a particular thing. So we, even in language, we say, oh, he made me angry, or that made me sad, as if the event outside of ourselves is causing some kind of experience that we have. The way that I look at it is that by the time you're about 8 years old, you've had every experience you need to have all of the information that you need to decide how to survive in the universe the rest of your life. And it's pretty sad that it all happens around those decisions in the first 8 or 10 years. But we have these old memories, these old experiences, where our mind holds on to them to teach us how to operate if we ever run into it again. And so it's kind of a thing, instead of the outside event causing you to feel something, the outside event triggers an old event that happened when you were young that looks like the same event that's happening now. And it puts you on default, or it sends you into an automatic pattern that you did at that time, which isn't really workable at the new time, by the way. So if you screamed and yelled and you got your way when you were 4, then if the outside event looks like that same thing is happening and you go on default automatic behavior, you're going to pull up screaming and yelling and attacking and killing. And so you're on automatic doing behavior that now doesn't really work. So for me, the whole thing about endurance is to know who we are, and who we are can only be experienced when we're in present time. We need to get centered, which is being open, present, and connected. And when we're open, present, and connected, we have the capacity to make a choice of how I'm going to respond to an event, rather than being triggered and on default and reacting to something outside of ourselves. And when that kicks in, when you know enough of who you are, that you can actually cause yourself to get centered before you take an action to whatever just happened that triggered you, get yourself centered and then choose. That choice begins to start a motivation and a momentum where you find endurance. Because now it's just, what's next? What's next? It's not, oh, I'm out of here automatic. I know what to do in the situation. I go and cry and, put the covers over my head and I pretend that I don't exist. That's automatic behavior. And once you get in touch with that part of yourself, it becomes a game. And endurance becomes one of those things that's just so. It's not easy or hard. It's just so. It's just like, keep swimming. Just keep paddling.
Absolutely exquisite. And that brings us to the final grace, because after all of that momentum and expansion, there has to be a time when we stop, rest, recuperate, renew. What does renewal look like for you, and why has it been key in the different stages of your life?
Thank you. Renewal to me is being still, and it's reconnecting to that innermost sacred place that we all hold, that connects us to the rest of the universe and to everything that exists in the universe. And that is kind of like if you have an iron and you're ironing a shirt, the iron doesn't work unless you've got it plugged in. And human beings don't work unless they've plugged in to a source of energy, vitality, inspiration, which stillness brings us. And so it's been my practice my whole life. I learned to meditate when I was 12, and I've been meditating ever since. And meditation can be as simple as walking quietly through a forest, contemplating a thought that you have, or relaxing your body, going to a different state and actually visualizing things, but being still, not eating, not drinking, not walking, not talking, not listening, not just closing your eyes and shutting it all off and going inner and being still. And that renewal will bring forth that part of you that can cause things to happen. So now we're back at the beginning.
You know the graces so well. That was just fabulous. And anybody who's listening, that's what preeminence is. That's what preeminence is. It's not being, famous or or all of these guru things that are out there. It's you being your best self, living your highest life. And Marcia's described it so each stage so exquisitely in ways that I don't do, because I talk about them differently. So thank you for checking all those 9 graces off and claiming preeminence for us.
Thank you.
And I want to also say that this level of wisdom on all of these different areas of life, which are so key to building up the whole picture of your preeminent life. Marcia has the most amazing hub where you can access all of her videos. So tell us about the Marcia Martin Club.
Well, it's getting better and better. First of all, you can go to marciamartinclub.com, and for $10 a month or $100 a year, if you want a really good deal, you can upload or view and listen to different videos, workshops, seminars, podcasts, training classes, speaking engagements, interviews that I've done in my past. And I created this so that people could have a place, kind of like a Netflix or a Marcia Martin on demand, where you could just come, and for a few pennies a day, really, you could access it at your own leisure and at the convenience of your own location, to be able to review some of the trainings I've done in the past, because they have changed people's lives. And I thought maybe it was possible it could happen on video. Maybe if I took those videos and just put them on a platform, which I did, it can make a difference. And it has. People tell me that I've changed their lives just by watching the workshop that they watched on the Marcia Martin Club. And what's really exciting is we're in the process over the next 3 months of updating and up-leveling the whole experience to include many more live events and discounts on products that I'm producing, and different kinds of access to me, and exchanges and questions and answers, and all sorts of things. And what we're going to do is, between now and the next 3 months for sure, and maybe for a few months after that, we're going to offer it at the same price of this $10 a month or $100 for the year. That will be the price that they pay forever, even after we upgrade and up-level the club and we charge more for it. So if you want to be a part of my club, now's the time to get in. Go to marciamartinclub.com and sign up. I think you'll really enjoy it. People tell me that it's fun, they laugh their ass off, they get profound wisdom, and it makes a difference in their life. And thank you, Jenny, for mentioning that.
Well, we are at March 2022 when we were talking about this. So this is going to be evergreen, this beautiful presentation that you've done for us. So we know where to find you. We know where to find you. We always share the links. We're not going to stop because we are joined at the hip, as you as you said. Is there anything else that you'd like to add today, Marcia, at our 2-year anniversary?
Well, I'd just like to say how grateful I am for you and for the magazine and for the opportunity to associate with you and to collaborate with you and to have fun with you and to have you in my life as a girlfriend and a woman colleague and an associate and a best friend. And I would like to give my gratitude to all the people that hear this message, that if it makes a difference in their life, that it is my joy to have some way impacted something that caused them to maybe smile.
Thank you, Marcia. Thank you for being you. Thank you for continuing your journey. Thank you for being such a shining example of preeminence.
Thank you.
And, yeah, just onwards and upwards and round the circle we go again.
Here we go.